Ruren is going to share. And again, I just want to remind everyone that I am not an immigration consultant or lawyer. So we're just sharing based on what is in the news and also from my experience. All right. So welcome to the Voices in Education. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you're a returning viewer, listener, subscriber, welcome back, welcome back. All right, so I just want to introduce you, Ren. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm doing fairly okay as well. So I guess we just need to get into it to just get this conversation going, in the context of, what this cap means for international students. And so I am just bringing that information up that I want to share with you. All right, so this update happened today. All right, and so the government of Canada will set an intake cap on international student permit applications. All right, for a period of 2 years. And this information, by the way, is coming from IRCC. And so what this is saying is for 2024, this year, the cap is expected to result in approximately 360,000 approved study permits, all right? So we'll see a decrease of 35% from, the previous year, last year. But important to note, study permit renewals will not be impacted. So my understanding here, if you're already in Canada and you're going to do a study permit, extension, that will not be impacted. As well as if you're pursuing a master's and, if you're pursuing a master's or a doctoral degree, as well as elementary and secondary education are not included in the cap. So I guess students who are attending K to 12, I'm not too sure there, but we're going to focus our conversation on post-secondary, undergrad, where the impact is really, huge here for international students. And so what this means, according to IRCC, to implement the cap as of January 22nd, 2024, which is today, every study permit application submitted to IRCC will also require an attestation letter from a province or territory. Provinces and territories are expected to establish a process for issuing attestation letters to students by no later than March 31st, 2024. So I'm just going to pause here to just talk about this part, Rurian, because this is very interesting. So based on the information so far, what I will say is that as of today, if you're applying for a study permit application, it's not going to be possible without an attestation letter. So that I am not too clear, where or what that process will look like. And what I gather from this information is that the federal government, which is the government of Canada, is giving the provinces, the provincial governments, the opportunity to, I guess, establish that process in terms of how this letter is going to be issued to students. And so, interestingly, too, from this figure that they're going to approve, the provinces will each get, I guess, a particular number that they're supposed to take. So I am wondering, given there are a lot of dynamics here at play in the context of this letter. because I believe that provinces now with this could say, okay, these are the in-demand occupations that we have, and kind of issue letters based on the need, as opposed to university programs and what students would like to study. So it's going to be interesting to see how this letter or the process regarding this letter plays out. I don't know. Do you have anything you'd like to share so far? Any questions?
Yeah, well, I totally get what you're saying, and get the point that you're making, and I think the provinces will make use of this opportunity to fill the gaps that they have in the province, and accept people accordingly so that they can build the provinces. But just for a little bit of clarity, can you explain what is an attestation letter for us so that we understand what
Well, that's a
all
that's
of
a
the
that's a very good question. And I am thinking along the lines. So, for example, when you do like a provincial nomination, right? The province, they give you, I guess, a letter or something, that will pretty much confirm that they're supporting your application. So I am thinking it's some written statement, or statements that is going to come from the province to support your study permit application. I'm not sure what that will look like because I'm yet to see an example. So in that
okay.
context, I am not sure. So it's going to be a letter, because what IRCC is saying to, without this letter, you will not get the study permit. Your application will be incomplete. So it's as if, if persons are familiar with the PNP, so that's a provincial nomination program where they nominate you, they give you this letter. So I am thinking that it's going to be something similar, but what is not clear is, the process, what that will look like. And also, will the provinces, tie this letter to a particular program based on, in demand, jobs, or, the needs that they have in that context. So, for example, if you have, say, a need in the sense where you need more persons to work in industries, as opposed to, say, education, then will you be issuing letters based on that? So I am not too sure, how that is going to look, in the context of, the study permit application. But what I can share based on the updates so far from IRCC is that for sure you will need this letter to make your application. Without this letter, your application is incomplete. But before I move on, Ruren, before I just jump back to you there, I want to make it clear too, because this is also important, that I believe I said it earlier. Students who are pursuing masters and doctoral degrees, they're not included in this cap, and that is important. So this cap is really for undergraduate programs. So if you're in a master's, or if you're intending to pursue a master's program or a doctoral program, then you're not in this cap. Based on my understanding from the information shared, you do not need this letter. You can go ahead with your study permit application. But if you're an undergraduate, so if you're intending to study at the undergraduate level, then this is definitely important for you. Over to you, Noreen. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but I really don't
Yeah,
know.
well,
Hard
things
to
are not well established yet, and this is what they're rolling out now, so it takes a little time. So I understand what you're saying. It is something that is necessary to put forward your application once you're at the undergraduate level. So, you know, I guess
yeah.
and I guess you were saying that this comes from the province. So
Yes, this
the
attestation letter will come. And
letter
what
will come
the
from.
federal government has said is that the provinces, they have until March 31st of this year to issue those letters. So as soon as we get, the process, say for example, what it will look like in Alberta or Ontario, we will definitely give you an update because the provinces will have some control over what the process regarding the letter will look like. And I guess they'll be working with schools. But, based on, there were some, indications that this cap was going to happen. And I can tell you that some provinces, for example, Ontario, British Columbia, Nova Scotia, and perhaps Quebec, their quota might be, limited. So some of the provinces, like the prairie provinces, so if you're not so much aware of Canada, prairie provinces like Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, you know, those provinces were not called in terms of, high numbers. So perhaps, you may stand a better chance, applying, but I'm not sure how the provinces are going to again, issue that attestation letter that you will need to support your application. I am not sure if this will be tied to particular programs where, the cap will be limited. The next part of it too that I believe is important when it comes to provinces and the number that they're given. How will this be shared among the universities in each province? Because when you think about larger universities, I would want to believe that they're going to attract, a greater, number from the quota. So I am still, lots to see as the days and weeks, go by in the context of what this will look like for international undergraduate students who would like to study in Canada.
Yes, this is really really interesting, and the fact that the provinces are getting they must have a breakdown already that probably isn't shared with the general public of how many spots or how many attestation letters they will be able to issue out this year. So I'm thinking that a lot of groundwork is being done, and they will come forth with those information as soon as they deem it ready.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to highlight here that, from IRCC's information, they're also saying that these are temporary measures that will be in place for 2 years. And, after that, I guess they're going to do a reassessment to see, how, I guess, how things are going. And we're not too sure what they want to do in the context of, students coming to Canada to study. I know that there were mention, of, a housing crisis in Canada. And so that's, I guess, driving this decision. And also some universities who are not providing the requisite supports for international students. And so again, I guess that's a part of it. But we'll see. I guess we'll hear more, as it relates to what is going to happen. And here is another piece of information too that is important. They're saying that starting September 1st, 2024, international students will begin a study program that is part of a curriculum licensing arrangement will no longer be eligible for a post-graduation work permit upon graduation. Under curriculum licensing agreements, students physically attend a private college that has been licensed to deliver the curriculum of an associate public college. These programs have seen significant growth in attracting international students in recent years. though they have less oversight than public colleges and they act as a loophole with regards to post graduation work permit eligibility. So that's something again there that they are implementing. And they're now saying graduates of master's and other short graduate level programs will soon be eligible to apply for a 3-year work permit. Under current criteria, the length of a post-graduation work permit is based solely on the length of an individual study program, hindering master's graduates by limiting the amount of time they have to gain work experience and potentially transition to permanent residence. So here is really a plus for, students at the graduate level in terms of, giving them a 3-year work permit. So that's a plus there, and something that we should highlight. So right now, it is looking as if, it's better to do like a graduate level program in Canada as opposed to an undergraduate program, and I guess we are not too sure, what the provinces will do as it relates to that letter that students will need to accompany their, study permit application. So that is going to be very, important to see how that plays out, Again, will the provinces tie this to, in demand, jobs, the needs of the province in terms of programming? How will universities, what will be their take on this matter? And I feel that a lot of students now are perhaps waiting for a response from universities. So international students, they perhaps would have to wait a few more weeks for universities to figure this thing out in the context of, this supporting letter. And again, how will you allocate, numbers to each university in the province? Because each province, based on my understanding from this information, is going to get a specific number to work with in terms of study permit applications. And then I believe the province now will divide that among the universities, colleges. I guess that's the situation there. And I'm not sure if they're going to separate colleges from universities, but that is something to see again as the updates come in, or, as IRCC share, the updates with us. So I don't know, Ruren, what's your take so far on what is happening?
Well, it's really interesting to see how things pan out because this is such a new intervention that they have here, and as they say, they're trying to close up any loophole that might be there. But it's quite nice that you can get a 3-year study permit after finishing your studies at the grad level. So that's good.
Yeah, I believe that's a plus two. But another important piece here. So, usually that's prior to today. That's the usual. That's what I mean when I say usually. Prior to today, right? Once you apply for a study permit, so if you have your spouse or common law partner, you'll be able to get an open work permit for your spouse or common law partner. So in the case of, let me get this clear. For the case of international undergraduate students, for undergraduate students, so I'm just going to double check this. All right. They won't, they won't be getting, that open work permit for their common law partners or spouses. So I just found the information here. So according to IRCC, in the weeks ahead, open work permits will only be available to spouses of international students in master's and doctoral programs. The spouses of international students in other levels of study, including undergraduate and college programs, will no longer be eligible. So this is interesting now. So is it a case where Canada is saying the Canadian population is pretty much good enough for, the undergraduate level in terms of, degrees, and what they need is more, I guess, skilled or more knowledgeable persons. So we're looking for, persons at the master's and doctoral level because I see like, they're looking for a particular skill set. And so they're targeting, persons at these, levels. So graduate level, master's, students, doctoral students, and they're making it in such a way where even if you're doing like a very short, say for example, a 1 year program, it would appear based on the information that is shared here that in the near future, 1 year program can still give you a 3 year post grad work permit, which is awesome because prior to that, you're perhaps going to get the 1 year in post grad permit. So I see like there's a shift from undergrad to grad, and grad meaning masters and doctoral, students who would like to study in Canada, where Canada is changing that, I guess, to better support these students in the context of application and in the context of creating that pathway where they can transition to permanent residence. So I am picking up a shift here from undergraduate level courses to more, master's, PhD, students. So I don't know if you're getting that sense too, Rurian.
Definitely. And, based on, my little knowledge about academics, less people tend to be up, in those levels, the
Right.
grad and the doctoral level. So, it's a way, it's a neat way of filtering out some of the applications and people who would consider applying, or you would have to reposition yourself in order to apply. So I think it's a clever way of saying, all right, as they would put it, of capping the amount of applications that they are going to issue in the next 2 years. So I think it's a neat way that they're saying, all right, we don't want so many applications. We don't want this, people who are, at the grad, a lot of these people at the grad level, and just trying, they're using this, I think, clever way of just saying, all right, look and see if this is worth applying for, if you would qualify for, or is this really what you're looking for. So I think a lot of persons will have to be, thinking back of at home and thinking about doing their undergraduate stuff in their home country, and then looking to do masters or doctoral studies when they come here, just to ensure that they can get that benefit from the system.
So my next question then, do you believe that Canada is accepting too many international students?
I am not in a position of knowledge to answer that question to say yes or no, but I am thinking if they're changing the system, based on their knowledge, you know, they know something that is happening. As you mentioned, they're having problems, with housing and just the general care of international students. So maybe they're just using this as a chance just to make sure that they put systems in place so that when international students come here, they're, they're treated with a certain level of dignity, a certain level of, they have a good way of life in terms of that. I'm thinking down that line. Or it could just simply, as you say, that they are saying that, based on our population, based on our education of the people in the country, this is not where we want the focus to be. We're shifting focus into areas where they deem it, more necessary to have people to get to push the country forward and get the economy, rolling. So I'm thinking probably that's the way they're looking on it.
Okay. So there, yeah, lots of ways to look at that for sure. And I believe you're on point there in, that's one such way. So one of the arguments too that is out there is based on the housing need in Canada. So is do you believe that Canada is finding it hard, I guess, to to support, people in that context in terms of providing housing for, the current population, because that is a big part of this as well. And I'm just going to read this information here that I have that was shared on, CBC. And this is the information here. The government of Canada recognizes that international students provide tremendous social, cultural, and economic benefits to campuses and communities across Canada. International students contribute over 22.3 billion per year to the Canadian economy, greater than exports of auto parts, lumber, or aircraft. So, I'm just going to turn that to you, Ruben. What do you believe will happen if it is that, international students, they're contributing so much to the Canadian economy? What will happen now in this context? Will we see a rise in tuition fees?
It's possible because the balance is has to be taken. The balance sheet must be balanced. Things. The universities must go on, and if it means raising the fee to ensure that the bills are paid, then they will do that. And seeing that international students, as I previously said, most persons would probably come in at the level at that undergrad level, and you that's where most persons would come in. So that would be the place that universities would be looking for, a lot of tuition to come from. With that being cut down now, then they will have to find another place to target. And if it means it's the grad students or the doctoral students, then it means that everybody else will have to put in a little bit more in order to ensure that things continue. And just to bear in mind too that they said that this is a 2-year program. So as you rightly said, you're going to assess this, you're going to do an evaluation on this program and see the impact of this cap on the economy, the Canadian economy, see how well they could survive with reduced amount of international students, not that usual influx, and they're going to make certain predictions. So if you might see the cap being raised in 2 years from now, or they might just say, all right, we're going to go back to you know, the previous happenings based on what is happening, or they might just say, all right, we're going to raise the amount of people who can come in, and they they might just relax some of the rules if they realize it's not working. Because the truth is, each students are always looking for a way to better themselves. So if once they relax it and you are qualified then and you're interested, then you will apply for this for the study permit. So I'm thinking they're exploring and seeing exactly how best to go forward. So this 2 years period that they have for this cap on for, I think it's they're using this to find out what will happen or how things would work without you know. So that's basically what I think about this.
So, all right. So this is my thing, right? When it comes
Yeah,
on to policy, because the policy here is, I feel, based on what they're doing, is to, I guess, try and lower the amount of students who are coming in, right? And remember, I believe the number is what, 360,000 that they want, I believe, right? And this is
I'm not remembering the
undergraduate.
number actually.
I believe it's 360, but I can double check that. I can double check that for
For
you.
sure.
Right. And so if that is the number, remember now, this is for undergraduate, right?
Yes.
So what if we start to see a rise in masters and, say let's just put it grad programs, grad students coming in. Remember, at this point that we're at, usually the tuition fees at the graduate level is cheaper than the undergraduate level, right? So
Yeah.
I am thinking in the context of policy, if Canada is going to put that cap for undergrad programs, I am just thinking about, some possibilities here. It is quite possible that universities now are going to target grad students, and it could be a possibility now where we see that tuition being, pretty much similar to the undergrad tuition, because you mentioned about, balancing the books, and that figure will have to come from somewhere. Or if it's a case where people are on the outside, like outside of Canada, looking in and perhaps saying, okay, this is our time to get in, we could perhaps see that rise at the grad level. So my question is, if we're still, because there's no cap on the grad level, so they're just foreseeing, I guess, based on previous data that is available to IRCC and to the minister, Honorable Mark Miller, they're perhaps, looking at that because usually undergrad is, the higher number. So what if we get this reverse where we're now seeing more graduate students coming in based on this new development in Canada? Would that fix the problem in terms of housing? Because, for example, that's where I'm trying to get at. If we have more grad students coming in, not just them, because they are still able to get that open work permit for their spouses. So if they're coming with their spouses, their family, will that fix the problem? So I'm just putting that, to you. Do you believe?
Well,
This is just your
you
opinion.
know, go again.
I'm just saying, I asked you the question as if you're the minister, but I'm just saying, in your opinion, will that fix the
Oh,
problem?
for sure. Well, this is how I look on it. So if the persons who are applying for if you put it on a scale or you look at the numbers, based on my little experience, I would think far more undergrads or prospective undergrad students would apply than, let's say, grad students.
For
So
sure.
with them changing this, it's not going to affect the amount of persons applying for the grad level because the persons who would be targeting the undergrad, they would not they would not qualify for the grad or they would be applying there. So I think it's just a way to phase out the number of undergrad applications just to reduce that aspect of it. As it relates to balancing the book, I'm giving it serious thought and I'm thinking, how long does a course a grad student study for? How long does an undergrad student study for? And I'm thinking that probably this 2 year period is is strategically done. They chose 2 years strategically because let's say you came here last year and you're doing a program. How long does the undergrad program last?
Just three to
So
four years.
3 to 4 years. So this is what I'm saying. This gap that they are creating for the next 2 years, if for people who came in last year, if they're doing a 3 year program,
So
they
it will be
would
this
be in
year.
their
It will be
third.
this year that it will start. This year.
Yes, but I'm saying that the last set on the old rules would be 2023,
Right.
last that they accept. So I'm saying 2 years down the road, they would be 2 years into their program. And I'm thinking that, they wouldn't lose out much on the amount of the undergrad students that are here because you'd have students being here for a couple of years still. So even though they're not accepting a lot, there is a lot of undergrad students who are here already. So I don't think it would shake them as much as if they would say go a 3 year period with the reduced number. If you get what I'm trying to
I get
get
what
at.
you're saying, but it's going to shake them because let me try and see if I can find. So they're taking 360. Yeah, 360, right? And they're saying this is a 35% decrease from 2023 last year. So I guess, especially those, and what we have to, I guess, kind of bring back to this conversation too, Ruren, is that, you know, some institutions are going to be impacted significantly, especially the ones in certain provinces. It would appear, for example, Ontario. I'm not too sure how that is going to work, because what IRCC is going to do, according to this news release, is that they will allocate a portion of the cap to each province and territory, who will then distribute the allocation among their designated learning institutions. So designated learning institutions are pretty much the schools that have a DLI number, a designated learning, institution number. And those are the schools where you can study. You pretty much can apply to and study as a international student. And so here, this again, this is going to be something that is, I want to see in the context of the provinces. So if you think about Ontario and a University of Toronto, what will their portion look like in the context of what that province is going to get? And then this, I guess, will be a lot of, other institutions will be in competition for, I guess, a number. So I feel that it's going to have some impact. To what extent, not too sure yet, but I believe so. And pretty much they were hitting out at certain provinces, and, that, have high numbers. And again, according to CBC, some of the provinces that they mentioned was Ontario, Nova Scotia, I believe British Columbia, and Quebec, I believe. So in that context, there will be some impact. Perhaps prairie provinces may not be, so, I guess, impacted, but those provinces perhaps. And again, I am not too sure, and that is something that will be left to each province to decide how they're going to issue these, supporting letters that they refer to as attestation letters. So will they tie that to a particular program based on the need of the province? So again, so for example, you have some smaller universities that may not see, that impact in terms of revenue that they usually get from international students, depending on how the province is going to do their, allocation. So it's really I'm just waiting to see how, things unfold as the days go by. So, welcome if you're just tuning in. Please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. Voices in Education is about supporting students. And so, this Canada Talk is our way of sharing, information, about what is happening right now in the context of Canada capping study permit applications. So for international students. So we're sharing based on the knowledge, public knowledge, and also from experiences. And so welcome, welcome if you're just tuning in. But there was something that pretty much led up to this before this grand announcement. So in terms of proof of financial support, that was where I guess this started because there was an increase, for this in the context of that took effect on January 1st, 2024. So the first of this year. And I'm just trying to see if I can get that information for you. And I believe for one person, so number of family members, including the applicant, say one person, you needed to show 20,635. Two persons, 25,690. And this amount that I am stating, right, is the amount that is required per year, not including tuition. So if you were planning on studying in Canada, you need $20,635 plus your tuition. You need to show that. That's just for one person. So they started out with this in terms of increasing the amount that international students needed to show. So the minimum funds needed to support yourself as a student in Canada, it started there. So they were pretty much working on, getting this done in terms of, what will happen. So that's pretty much, this has been like an ongoing rolling out of, policies or changes in the context of international students and their study permit application. So again, if you're just applying, if you applied before, some persons, I believe they were trying to beat this January 1st in terms of trying to get their applications in. But if the 1st of January, well, got you would need to show 20,635 Canadian dollars plus your tuition. All right. So that is something that you would need to show to be approved for your study permit, at least one of. And they're saying you can prove your funds with proof of a Canadian bank account in your name if you have transferred money to Canada, a guaranteed investment certificate, so a GIC from a participating Canadian financial institution, proof of a student or education loan from a bank, your bank statements for the past 4 months, a bank draft that can be converted to Canadian dollars, proof you paid tuition and housing fees, a letter from the person or school giving you money, or proof of funding paid from within Canada if you have a scholarship or are in a Canadian funded educational program. And I did a video regarding this. So in terms of proof of funds and how much it costs, well, the cost is a bit more right now, but some of the in terms of funding is still the same there. So Rurian, I'm not sure if you have anything else you'd like to share or ask.
Well, really interesting that, all these changes have taken place in 2024, and I guess they have targeted, 2024 as the year of change. And I'm just, hoping that, people who wants to come, people want to come to Canada and study will be able to still, live that dream because, you know, I'm thinking if you have to find 20 plus $1,000 for yourself and two people, 6 plus tuition, it's a tidy sum. a tidy sum to come up with. So I'm just hoping that things go get better as time goes by, so that persons can live their dream.
Yeah, so again, if based on the new developments in the context of international students wanting to study in Canada, if you're going to study or if you want to study in an undergraduate program, then it is important for you to read, do your research, and understand what these developments mean for you. So as an international student right now, if you have started your study permit application, then you'll just have to pause if you have not yet submitted your application. So the 22nd, which is today, pretty much is the day when you need what they're referring to as an attestation letter. So this letter will come from the provincial government, not the federal government. So in Canada, you have the federal government, government of Canada, and then you have the provincial government. So the provincial government, they have the jurisdiction for education. So they're responsible for education, each province, right? So it's not a provincial responsibility. However, the government of Canada has, immigration as their responsibility. So that portfolio falls with the government of Canada, the federal government. So in the context, based on the information that was shared, there's a pause because I am not sure how this letter of attestation will be issued. So if you have an application, if you have applied to a university in Canada, I guess you'll just have to wait until that institution reach out to you to advise you of, next steps. But for sure, if you send your application in as of today without that letter, my understanding is that your application will be incomplete and I guess they will return it to you. All right. So this letter of attestation as an undergraduate student, you will need this to support your study permit application. And this will come from the province where you're intending to study. All right. So that's where, in the context of this letter, we're not too sure if they're going to align it with particular programs of study based on the needs of the province. We're still here wanting to see what that process will look like, how that letter will be issued. And again, we don't know because each province now will get a portion from that 360,000 in the context of study permit application, and we don't know how much each province will get just yet. I'm not seeing that information just yet. So, but just to let you know that if you are a minor, so if you're a minor child, studying at the primary or secondary level, so kindergarten through to grade 12, so what they call, K to 12, public school K to 12, then you don't need that letter, all right, of attestation. And if you're a grad student or you're intending to study in a graduate program, so at the master's or PhD level, or any other postgraduate program, because sometimes they have like diploma programs or some certificate program at the graduate level. So graduate programs, you do not need that letter from the province. And if you're currently in Canada and you're going to extend your study permit application, you do not need this letter. This does not apply to you. So this does not affect students who are already in Canada. It's just those students who are planning on studying in Canada. So if you have not yet submitted your application, you'll just have to wait. I believe, and they said the provinces have until March 31st, I believe, 2024, so this year,
Yeah,
to
sometime in March.
to provide the support to students who I guess they want to issue. So as I shared earlier, to me, this feels like, the provincial nomination program. When you're applying there, they give you this support, like a nomination. They nominate you for PR and you use that nomination and you can get, I believe, 600 points just by having that letter or certificate, whatever they refer to it as. So I feel like this is the case. No points here, but you need that letter to support your application. So again, it's going to be interesting to see how the next few days and weeks play out in the context of this new development for international students, especially undergraduate students. So right now, just by my understanding, it would appear it would be much easier to study at the graduate level. But in no way, shape, or form am I discouraging anyone? It is still there. Just do your research, read, understand the requirements, ask questions if you need to ask questions, and, submit your application and just take it from there and, see how things go. So, I'm not sure you had anything else you'd like to share.
No, this information is pretty new to me, so I'm trying to get a good understanding of it. Thank you so much for sharing what you have shared too, because that has made it a bit clearer for me. So, really interesting times ahead, and I want to see how this unravel and how, how the provinces, how the amount of people in each provinces will be broken down, and also how the provinces will disperse the amount of, to different institutions. So that is kind of, interesting to
Oh,
see how they approach.
oh, I'm sorry. I'm just seeing the live chat. Sorry, everyone. I was not seeing the chat here. My apologies. Anne Marie Brown, good night to you. Good night. And I'm seeing Rahul here. Welcome, Rahul. Please ensure that you hit that subscription button. And Rahul is saying, hi, my wife is already in Canada pursuing her 1 year program. I am applying my I'm not sure what is SOWP with kid next week. Will I be affected? Could you let us know if you're still here, Rahul? What is
Uh,
SOWP?
I think the WP is work permit. Just
Oh,
to I'm not sure what the SO is for.
well, I am. Let me just make it clear. I am not. Oh,
Or
spousal open work permit. Okay, thanks, Rahul. So I am not an immigration consultant or a lawyer, but based on what is in this release, it is pretty much saying that students who are already here studying will not be impacted. So this is for applications as of today, January 22nd, 2024. So that is my interpretation of this information. Would you say the same thing, Ren? Based on what?
yeah, this is an interesting situation, but I guess the fact that the wife your wife is in Canada already, it would work based on the application that your wife submitted. So it, that's what everybody else's application would be based on. So I'm hoping in your case that, that's what happened and that these new regulations won't affect you. So hopefully all goes well for you, Raul, and family.
Yeah, and that's my understanding too, that, these measures or, policies are as of, today, January 22nd, 2024, for the applications that are going to go. So, and Raul did not state, what program. So I'm not sure if it's an undergrad. Well, he said 1 year. And it could be, would it be like an undergrad or grad program? Because if it's 1 year, it seems more like perhaps a grad program. I'm not sure. But, you know, okay, sending back our love here to you there in India. Are you a cricket fan, Raul? We can talk about, who do you want to talk about? MS Dhoni? Oh. So Raul there. So yeah, so my understanding is, this will be affecting new, students at the undergraduate level. So and then I think you're safe, Rahul, based on the information, because they did say something to the effect like in the weeks ahead, undergraduate students, spouses will not be eligible for the open work permit. So I guess now is the time for you to get that done. And Raul is saying, of course, I am MS Dhoni fan. Oh, we connect there.
Oh boy. Where if you want to say Rahul, we're in India. Are you is it Mumbai? Are you in Kolkata?
Calcutta,
Where are
that's
you in?
my team.
Yeah, I follow a lot of IPL cricket, so I'm familiar with the players too. MS Dhoni is really a good player who has been there for years, and the people don't want him to stop playing. And he's really doing well at his age. I think he's in his 40s now, but he's doing really well at the game. Awesome
So
wicket keeper, and
you
brilliant
prefer
captain.
Sachin or MS? Sachin or
Well,
Dhoni?
I haven't seen much of Sachin, to be honest, but I've seen MS Dhoni do some marvelous thing with his captaincy, with his batting, and also with his wicket keeping. So yeah, MS Dhoni for me for sure.
Okay. And Raul is saying, I am from South India. Is this Tamil Nadu? Do you know that, Ryan?
I've never heard about that. I only know the major places that mainly where
The
the
cricket.
cricket matches are played, like Pune, Mumbai, Kolkata, those places. I'm familiar with those places. Which other one is there that it's not coming to my mind right now? But yeah, mainly those places. Where would that be? Which one of those major places that I know would that would say Tamil Nadu be close to Rawa?
All right, so we'll wait on Raul's response there. I'm just trying to go back to find that little bit of information to just share with, Raul. All right, so this is how it is phrased, and I'm going to read this directly from, IRCC. In the weeks ahead, open work permits will only be available to spouses of international students in master's and doctoral programs. The spouses of international students in other levels of study, including undergraduate and college programs, will no longer be eligible. So they say in the weeks ahead, um, Rahul. So I guess I would say, do what you need to do now if that is possible for you. So Ruben is saying Chennai Super Kings. We know that name.
For sure, for
You
sure,
say
for sure.
Chennai is the capital of Tamil Nadu. So
Oh boy, like I didn't know that. Like we always hear about Chennai, and as you know, Chennai Super Kings is,
Chris
when
Gale,
Dhoni played
Chris Gale was there at one point, right?
playing in India, but not for Chennai.
For Chennai.
Dwayne Bravo played for Chennai Super Kings. Chris
Okay.
Gale played for Royal Challengers
The
Bangalore,
Bangalore. I know that
and
position.
very little for Kolkata Knight Riders.
Okay, okay. See, we have a cricket person here. So, I'm so happy that we have somebody here from India. So, welcome to this safe space, Raul. We share quite a bit in terms of programming. So, we have something here for everyone. And of course, you can share with friends and family members. Hit the subscription button, hit the like button, and share. And of course, we're going to keep We're going to keep watching this development and we'll share as we get new information. So we'll be here again to share more as soon as this information, is known to us. So definitely we'll be here, just informing viewers and subscribers and students because, that's one of our aims, to support students, and this is what we're trying to do here. So sorry for missing the chat earlier. We were just here. I didn't realize. But so happy that you're still here so I can, answer it. And Raul is saying, my wife is pursuing her 1 year project management in XX college. We have a kid, 4 years old, and always dreamt of being in Canada. Hope this government policy will not affect us. Is it an undergraduate or graduate 1 year program, Raul? So that could give you some more, I guess, reassurance in that regard. But still, they say the weeks ahead. So in either case, if you're able to then, to do what you need to do to join your wife, I guess the time would be now based on what I am reading here. Ruben, what says you?
For sure. And, because of the whole point where there has to be a little bit of transition period. So when things are well established, then it's going to be a little bit harder. But the fact that I'm presuming that you have started your application already. I think you're in a good place, and I'm hoping that you can get all your documents in, and I hope that they will, process your stuff so that you guys can transition to Canada. That would be that would be really awesome for you guys.
Yeah, and Raul is saying it's a graduate certificate, so I think they're good based on
Yeah,
the
yeah, that
information
sounds good.
there.
Yeah, because it
That is
doesn't affect
sounding very
grad.
good. No.
Yeah,
So once it's the
yeah,
graduate level, you're good. So that is sounding good. That is
yeah.
sounding good. One thing that I am going to do, I am going to put the link as soon as we end this conversation. I'm going to put the link in the description box where you can read the information for yourself as well. So I'm going to place the link in the information box, in the description box as well.
And it would be good if Rahul could keep in touch too. Like if in the simplest form, you can subscribe so that you know when we're on with anything else as it relates to this matter, and we'll definitely pick up what how things are going on your side, and as this thing unravels, because that's really important, and we really want you to get that opportunity of coming here to 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 live in, coming going to Canada to live after. So hopefully that works out for you.
Okay, and he's saying that his application is ready. He's just waiting for the medical, which should be done or expected in the next 2 days. So he's hoping to submit his application this Saturday. That's awesome, Raul. So, Raul, one of the things we usually do like a call in. We don't have that set up for this evening, but what we can do, if you'd like to call in, because we're going to talk some more on this, topic. I'm not sure if we'll be able to go live tomorrow, but perhaps, depending on how the updates are coming in. And, I know perhaps we could open the tomorrow, Ruben. Perhaps we could open for calls just so because we place the information and we could share based on experiences. What do you think?
Well, if that works, that's not a
Yeah,
problem.
yeah, we'll
We
see.
can,
We'll see how it goes. And again, as soon as we get information, we'll definitely share. And we can open to take some calls and share. But I know, Raul, that you're going to let all of Chennai share and subscribe to our space. And, well, I should not just say Chennai because you said Chennai was the capital, right? So Tamil Nadu. We'll see more persons from Tamil in India. And Raul is saying, I'm happy to join you guys. We're happy to have you. And for sure, we're going to perhaps, have a live call in, tomorrow where you can share, I guess, the
You
time
you
difference
could
is
probably share their number, the calling number with
WhatsApp
him.
number. Yeah, I'm going to
Yeah.
put WhatsApp number in the chat. So it's usually calling via WhatsApp. Once we go live, you can call this number. I'm going to try and put it in the chat so that you can have access to the number here just before we wrap this one up. So I'm just working on getting this number in the chat here.
Yeah.
Let me read
So
chat because sometimes I keep missing some important
yeah.
messages.
But what I'm happy for with his situation is that it's the grad level, so it's above that threshold where the undergrad is where the challenge field is. Most of the changes will happen. So that's really I'm really happy for him because you know
Yeah,
you want whenever these opportunities come, you want to get those opportunities and make the most of it. And I'm sure he wants his family to be reunited too, in the in this very simplest sense, and also get the opportunities that might come his way. So I'm just hoping and trusting that you get that medical in, and you can start planning your trip.
absolutely, absolutely. And Raul is saying, thank you for all your positive responses. I started breathing. You're okay. You're okay. So, I mean, I'm not the person who's going to view your application, but based on, the fact, based on the graduate level, the nature of the course, I believe that you're good. So, you should be fine based on the information. And again, I'm going to place the link to the IRCC, this information that they're shared. I'm going to place that in the description box. And, as I would say to people, you do not need an immigration consultant or a lawyer to do your application. If you're able to read and just go through the different, steps, you can do it on your own. I'm speaking from experience, so you can do that on your own and save your money. But if you require that help, definitely reach out to somebody who is, licensed, regulated to do this kind of work. All right. So we want to thank everyone for tuning in. I know that this is not the normal time for, listeners and subscribers, but it is happening and we wanted to share this information with you. And so just share this. If you know somebody who's interested in coming to study in Canada, this is definitely important information. And we try to break it down as best as possible so that you can understand. And of course, we share too based on experiences. So thank you so much for
Not
tuning in. Yeah,
necessarily before you close. I would love to know what time it is in Chennai.
in India, in Chennai, or Rahul,
Yeah.
what is it in Tamil Nadu now? So I'll wait for Rahul to share. Yeah, sure. It's really good just being able to share And I want potential students or prospective students to know that you can do your application on your own if you're able to just read and go step by step. And that would be good. It's 10:30 a.m. in India. And Raul is saying good morning to you guys. Good morning to you, Raul. We're just about to go to bed. We haven't slept yet, but happy to be here, talking to you. All right, could I set up this call? Raul, do you want to call in? I could perhaps take your call if you'd like to call in just to say hello. If you want to call in, you can let me know in the chat, and then I could perhaps set this up to just take a quick call if you'd like to call. And I'm not sure who else is here on the chat. I guess I have some silent listeners, supporters. Welcome. We appreciate your presence here as well. So let me just wait to see if Raul is going to respond. Just refreshing the chat here. And Raul is saying yes. So I'm just going to set this up. It's not going to take long. There we go. So we can try and take your call. All right, so I'm just setting this up. I'm just trying to get the system up. And then I'll let you know, Rahul, once we're set and ready. All right, so I'm just working on that. And let us see what's going on here. All right, so Rahul, we're ready for you. So it's just WhatsApp call only. So once you call that number that you see in the chat on WhatsApp, then we'll be able to hear from you. So we're just here waiting for your call when you're ready. So Rurian, are you still?
Yeah, yeah, still here. 10:30 in in Chennai, right? So
Yeah.
almost 12 hours.
Yeah.
Oh boy, 12 hours.
Oh, some parts of Canada. Well, I don't know. I'm not working out any fat this evening.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
it's good to hear from it's good to hear from him, and
Yeah.
it's a really long process too, because you have to keep getting your documents in and hoping that everything is going right, and but it's kind of good when you've checked all the boxes, and you get that, get those positive responses too. And I'm just praying and hoping that those positive responses will come his way, because that's that nothing beats family, and
For
having his
sure.
family together will be once more will be
All
so
right.
awesome.
I believe we have Rahul here. Hello.
Hi guys, how are you?
We're doing good.
Hi,
Thank you so much
Raul.
for calling.
So after hearing this bad news, we literally I was so upset. So I was researching all the internet regarding my work permit. So luckily you guys made my day, clearing my few doubts. Thank you so much, guys.
Oh, you're welcome.
Oh, no worries.
So we're
I,
definitely going to put the link in the description box so you can go there for yourself and read what we just shared.
Right, exactly. Okay.
Rurian, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
just
it's already been
I'm
in the chat
I
box, I
was
guess.
just
No, my co-host is just saying something to you, Raul.
Yeah, go
yeah,
ahead.
it's really good that you were able to call in, and I'm telling you, Natasha Lee was saying that this is something worthwhile going forward with a live on because we had access to some information. And it was a little bit doubtful, but you have made our nights as well
Yeah.
because we like doing this because we help a lot of persons in certain regards. Sometimes you need that level of comfort or just that information or just to find out that other persons are thinking along the same line as you are. And to hear well, to see your messages in the chat and hear you calling and hearing your voice now is really awesome. And the kind words that you have shared as well, that is the icing on the cake. So as I said, I want nothing but the best for you, and nothing but success.
Hmm.
Yeah, so for sure, we're really happy that we're able to share some information with you that is going to help you. So we're really happy for that. We're really happy for that.
Yeah, exactly. Same here. Which part do you live in Canada?
So we're in Western Canada.
Okay, Western Canada. Is it like nearby to Toronto?
Well, one, I guess we can take like what, 2 planes from here? Or one if you drive
Oh,
like
it's
three
long.
hours.
Oh my God. It's too long. It's far away, man.
But for sure, we can, keep this connection. Who knows, sometimes we might be in Toronto or Ontario, somewhere there or somewhere else, for sure. We keep the connection because we have a group too that we have on WhatsApp, but the programming are different. So we do different programs, as you perhaps will see. I've been doing
Hmm.
like, if you look, you'll see some Canada like videos studying in Canada. But so we try to do updates, and we try to support, students especially in terms of
Right.
information. So we're here, and we are always encouraging people, like, if you read the information for yourself, you may not necessarily need like to pay money to an immigration consultant if you're able to
Hmm.
follow the steps and do what you need to do, because IRCC, they have the information.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So how is it there in India, in Tamil
Yeah.
Nadu? Am I pronouncing
Yeah.
that correctly?
Right. Right. You're pronouncing it very fine. Yeah.
How is it there?
Yeah. It's I live in a mountain place. It's a tourist place. It's cold here. It's similar to Canada. We
Oh,
have like -1, -2 degrees here.
okay.
But
Some parts of
yeah,
Canada you get up to like -50 with the wind chill degrees
yes, exactly.
Celsius.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I started purchasing my the jackets.
Oh. Perhaps when you come to Canada, you try to buy one.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Hoping for the best. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Yeah.
Yeah, and we're hoping for the best for you, and we'll keep you in our thoughts, have, positive thoughts and in our prayers, and hope that, everything goes well for you and your family.
All right. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much, and you're doing a
No
great
worries.
job, guys.
Thank you, and
All
say
right,
hello to
sir.
your wife for us.
Exactly.
And kids,
Hello,
and the
hello,
kids
my dear
too.
wife. I love you so much. I'll be there soon.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. All right, take care, Raul, and we'll talk again soon.
Sure. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good
bye
night.
bye. Have a good one.
All right, so pretty awesome. I really appreciate, and it brings, lots of, joy when, this program is able to, help someone, support someone, make someone feel better. That is the aim, in terms of creating this positive space, where everyone feels a sense of belonging, where you feel valued. And so, we emphasize that definitely in this space. So, Randy, would you like to share anything before we close?
Well, I think, that call has, and has done it all for me tonight. I have no words. I'm speechless. And, I'm just going to leave you to just give the outro, because, like, it's so rewarding, like it's so rewarding that, persons can benefit from, what is being done. And, some things, money can pay for. But when you think about a family being reunited, like, the possibility of that happening, it's really heartwarming.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And I just want to say thanks to everyone who tuned in, listened, shared in the chat. Rahul tuning in from India. Thank you so much. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for sharing. And, we're just happy to support you and to support anyone, in whatever way we can. And I know that, Chennai, so Tamil Nadu will be tuned in because Raul is going to going to share. So we're gonna get some more Indian supporters here. And Raul is saying, nice talking to you guys, and it's the same here. So again, guys, just to let you know that there are some new updates from IRCC regarding study permit applications for international students. And so the big changes, I believe, will predominantly affect, undergraduate students. And so again, in the context where there is going to be a quota, and, I believe the number that IRCC is targeting is 360,000 study permit applications for this year, and each province will get a number, and from that number the province will decide how they're going to allocate each institution. A significant part of this development is also that, students will need an attestation letter. What that process will involve or look like, we're not yet, certain about that, but we'll be here following this development, and then we'll share that information with you once we get an update. But again, if you're an undergraduate student, you will definitely need this letter to support your application. So right now, I guess if you have, submitted an application to an institution in Canada, you'll have to wait on them to tell you what the next step will look like. So I believe the I believe the date by which you should receive that letter, the provinces, they have until March, I believe March 31st, 2024 of this year. And so again, once we have an understanding, we'll be right here sharing that information with you. And I want to let, graduate students know. So if you're intending to study at the graduate level, so whether that be a short graduate level program or, a master's or a doctoral program, then you will be fine. You do not need this letter of attestation. And so there's pretty much, no impact in that sense for you. Another significant, impact for, undergraduate, students is that in the weeks ahead, open work permits will only be available to spouses of international students in master's and doctoral programs. So the spouses of international students in other levels of study, including undergraduate and college programs, will no longer be eligible. So if you're an undergraduate student and you were wanting to take your family or your common law partner or your spouse with you in the weeks ahead, so IRCC did not give a specific date and time, they're saying in the weeks ahead, you won't be eligible to get this, open work permit. All right, so these are the updates that we have to share with you. Again, thank you so much. And remember, in life, there might be challenges, but it's how we look at them and how we choose to deal with them. Some hurdles we just have to jump over. Some we try to go around because we're not able to jump them. And sometimes we need to look beyond the hurdles or try to find a lighter and brighter way in terms of how we're looking at challenges. So I want to wish you all the very best, and especially if you're in the process of submitting an application, a study permit application, just take it one step at a time. Do not feel, overwhelmed. Just take it one step at a time and just do what you are expected to do and allow the system to do the rest. All right. Thank you so much and blessings, everyone. And stay tuned for the next update. Thanks to Ruren for joining and keeping my company here while we share with you. Thank you very so much for all your contributions as well. And from all the viewers and listeners, thank you, thank you, thank you. Blessings and love, everyone. And we'll see you in the next live.